TKO is essentially utilizing WWE to do what they could never do with the UFC, which is build money-making ventures off of outcomes that they can predict.
Oh, okay. He said he's a man-sized batch of walking cinnamon. It's what he called Sammy.
Peak.
Just, yeah.
That is peak. Joe Tess, I think you just made the opening to the show. That's peak. I love that. Joe Tess is great, dude. Welcome to the Lariat Lounge. This is the home of smart takes, hard hits, and real talk. I'm your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens, Skeener. Man, it feels like this time of year comes around every year. And despite the fact that, I don't know, it's been like since maybe 2020, 2021-ish, that it's been somewhat regular of a thing, it always catches me off guard, right? Shortly after WrestleMania, WWE does roster cuts, and they seem to coincide with roster call-ups. And so a part of it makes sense in my brain sometimes. There's always people that are on this list who get cut that are baffling to me. This roster, this set of people, some of them seem like, you know, they probably just didn't make the NXT cut. That's a large, significant part of them. Some people, you know, they probably shouldn't have been brought back to begin with, just being honest. And one in particular that I genuinely, for the life of me, I cannot wrap my head around. But we will get into all that because I know I have thoughts. I am sure Skeener has some thoughts on these things because we have not discussed this prior to, but it's going to be great content for each and every one of you. But before we get started, Skeener, how you doing this week, brother? How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Not too bad. Been doing a lot of traveling. Wife and I were in Vegas for a couple days this past weekend. I got to go to Tampa for a wedding this weekend, and then next weekend, wife and I leave for Japan for 12 days. So,
Holy smokes.
yeah, going all over the place. So,
You are. So what's going on in Japan? Is it just a vacation?
yep, we're just taking a little trip over there for a couple weeks. So,
That is pretty freaking cool. So am I going to be hosting for the next couple of weeks solo dolo?
no, I think we can work it out. We can work an international recording out. It'll just be one Wednesday. So,
Well, you let me know what's going on.
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure
make
it
it
out.
work.
It's if you can't make it, maybe I'll just do it solo dolo. Maybe I'll get a special guest host. I don't know.
Oh,
I've got a couple favors I can call in, and by favors
well,
I mean
we'll see.
asking politely.
Right now, I'm planning on we'll figure out and make it work somehow.
Hey, I'm down. You let me know what's going on, and we can work with it. But yeah, man. Kind of it's been an interesting week of wrestling, SmackDown and Raw. We had a few developments. We had some things develop a little bit further. For the most part, however, it's kind of been a mid week of wrestling. I genuinely had to look back over the results of SmackDown and Raw to remember exactly what happened.
SmackDown, aside from a debut, not a whole lot. I mean, got some Jacob Fatu stuff, but other than that, not a whole lot breaking any ground.
No, and honestly, I have some thoughts about the Jacob Fatu stuff as well. I genuinely do. I'm not entirely sold on this one, but there's room to sell me, but we'll get into all of that. But before we do, Skeener, please let everyone know where they can tune in to the Lariat Lounge on all of the streaming platforms, except for YouTube sometimes, because sometimes YouTube decides, hey, you know what? I will upload your HD version of the video, but I won't upload your standard version of the video. And if I don't upload the standard version of the video, I'm not going to release either one. And so that is kind of the deal with last week's episode. The HD episode uploaded. Standard definition, however, was somehow stuck in processing for an entire week. I tried to let it run, and yesterday I called it quits. I pulled the plug because it just was not going to do anything. So I may attempt to re-upload that episode this week along with this one. But the likelihood, I don't know. YouTube's been weird. But Skeener, let everybody know where they can definitely catch us if they want to listen for sure.
Well, if you want to listen, you'll find the audio on YouTube as well. Sometimes the video. Most weeks the video is going to be there. So may still get last week's video. We'll see. But search the Lariat Lounge on YouTube. That's where you'll find all our episodes, all the forthcoming episodes, all the past episodes. Well, that's where our live streams are. You'll find all the old live streams, any other content we do. Be sure, if you want to be 100% sure, this podcast is still coming at you every week in audio format on all your favorite platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you get your shows. You'll find the Lariat Lounge. Go grab your merch over at prowrestlingtees.com/the Lariat Lounge. 6 great designs up there. Help support the show if you want to do that. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. DMs are always open. Feel free to give us a shout. Anything you feel you have an opinion on, you need to get out in the world of professional wrestling. DMs are always open. Same goes over at the Lariat Lounge at gmail.com. Inbox is always open if you want to get your email read on the show. Feel free to drop us a line over there.
No emails this week. I'm
Okay.
checking the inbox right now just for all the people who would probably leave me a comment and say, hey, you never read those emails. I'm doing it. And I don't see any emails in the inbox. So there's that. If you want me to read your email, you gotta leave one. And I will do exactly that. But listen, we appreciate you guys coming and checking us out. I may try to get last week's episode, the video format, up on YouTube. As Skeener said, absolutely true. The audio version of the episode is up on YouTube. YouTube just decides to do YouTube stuff, and I don't always have control over what they do. So and trust me, if I could tell YouTube, just ditch the standard version and just put the HD version up, I absolutely would. But those two things apparently are irrevocably connected, and so they can't do one without the other. So we'll see about getting that up this week, but genuinely do appreciate you guys coming through, hanging out with us, spending some time. But hey, enough with the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. So, Skeener, I think we should probably just start with the 20-some odd members of the WWE roster that were released this past week. I think the biggest question mark on this list is by far Kairi Sane. Now, I will be the first to say that if someone were to have told me 8 months ago, 6 months ago, that Kairi Sane's release after WrestleMania 42 would be somehow making my brain hurt, I don't know if I would have believed you. But Kairi Sane has been a part of one of the premier storylines, story arcs, and through lines, because those are 3 different things, ladies and gentlemen, on WWE programming at a pretty high level with very high visibility people involved, one of which is your current WWE Women's Champion. Now, I had my concerns maybe 2 weeks before WrestleMania 42 when Io came to Rhea Ripley's defense when she was getting beat down at the hands of Jade Cargill, who was then WWE Women's Champion, and her 2 baddies, right? I had my concerns then. I was wondering why Io was coming out to make this save and then catching a beatdown by Jade and her cronies, right? And we were left with Io lying in the ring. This was the infamous Rhea being held in the corner as Jade beat her up. And I remember thinking to myself, why is Io being portrayed right now as Rhea's damsel? Why are we putting her in that position? I convinced myself into thinking, okay, maybe this is tying into a bigger story arc that is including Rhea, Io, Jade's entourage, and the Kabuki Warriors. Because we've had this long-running story of Io and Rhea being enemies, then frenemies, and then genuine friends. And Asuka, who is being portrayed as Io's senpai, along with Kairi senpai, that they're family, and that Asuka feels very strongly about Io betraying her family for someone who's not their family. And we've had the long running gag of Asuka fussing people out, leaving frame, and then you have Kairi, who is either trying to be personable or trying to mend fences or trying to smooth things over. And then we get the Kyrie off of screen and she jumps and she leaves. Everyone was banking on the idea that come WrestleMania 42, we were going to get some sort of conclusion to this, either with Io coming to Kyrie's rescue or Kyrie finally realizing that the abuse at Asuka's hands was not something she needed to endure and that she was going to break free from her chains and move away from Asuka. When this was left off of the 42 card entirely, I got a little concerned. When we talked at the prediction episode, Skeener, I genuinely thought that, okay, what we may try to do is bring Asuka and Kyrie into the Jade Rhea feud because Io's in it. If we're not going to focus on the Kabuki Warriors, maybe they are going to be a part of this bigger story that they're telling. But no, we just got Io. We saw no Kabuki Warriors anywhere. Next thing we know, Kyrie is gone. Asuka shows up talking trash to Io after Io and Rhea have split and gone their separate ways because Rhea is now on SmackDown and Io's still on Raw. We've got Io challenging for the Intercontinental Championship, and Asuka is still on Io's back with zero mention of Kyrie. Before I go any further, Skeener, into how ridiculously stupid this is, your thoughts on Kyrie's release, on some of these releases in general, and we can just go through the releases as they pop up in our heads, but your thoughts, brother, because I am at a loss, genuinely.
Okay. I mean, let's just get all but two, well, I guess three of the releases out of the way. Not a single one surprises me other than a little bit Aleister Black and Zelina. Mostly because it seemed like Triple H liked him. He was one of his NXT guys, but who knows how much say Triple H has in this stuff. But clearly we had talked like Aleister Black wasn't really going anywhere. It wasn't. Zelina hadn't done anything for a while. So that's not super surprising. Only a little bit because they were seemingly giving him a little bit of a push or trying to make something happen, but doesn't surprise me too much that they cut bait there. I mean, Kyrie is obviously very surprising. I don't, I think I've spoken on here like I'm a fan of Kyrie, so
Same.
it, it upsets me that she's gone and I won't see her on my TV. And I mean, it just sucks. We'll move forward. I'm surprised because the storyline was so prevalent, seemingly, and she was an active part, but they had kind of, like you talked about, it wasn't on WrestleMania. They had cooled it down. I don't know. Who knows? And we'll probably never know what goes all into these decisions. It's one of the more surprising ones we've ever seen, I think, but it's not the most. I'll say that. We've had bigger ones. Heck, even I think my buddy reminded me when I was talking to him, my buddy James, Aleister Black, the last time he was released, the first time he got released, it was like a couple days after he had like closed SmackDown kicking Roman in the head when he was champion. So like we've seen this stuff before. It's the machine's gonna keep rolling, but it does suck because I was a fan of Kyrie. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'll leave it.
I'll say this, man. So I was thinking about this at work as I was shutting some things down for the day. No, this does not surprise me particularly because we've kind of been conditioned into this mindset over the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years that right after WrestleMania you get these cuts. There may be another cut during the year. I think what kind of is messing with me a little bit, Skeener, is yes, Aleister Black, that example you gave, where the first time he got cut, he closed the show kicking Roman in the head, right? And then the next week he was gone. I get it. Sometimes I wonder though, who is in control of making these cuts? Do I feel like Aleister Black back in the day going into a seeming main event angle with Roman Reigns had any real legs behind it at all? I don't know. Maybe not. In my opinion, no. I don't think I was very interested in seeing that in the first place. Him getting cut
Well,
at that time was odd because, yes, that was an angle that was being built on television and it went away, right? It begs the same question. But what I don't get is who is making the decisions with regards to who gets cut? Like, is this something that TKO hands down to Triple H and his squad and is like, hey, these are the people who we're cutting weight and, do whatever you got to do to make the break happen, but this is when it's happening, right? And then you have to quickly pivot, change plans, do whatever you got to do so that you can write people off of television and then they're gone. Or is this a situation where TKO says, hey, we're going to make some cuts. You've got X amount of people you need to cut in order to get within this margin of budget, right? Make your selections by this date, and this is who goes, right? Because I can't wrap my head quite around how, if it's the latter and you're being told that you have to make some cuts, how you don't tie a story up with a more neatly drawn bow than the way that you unceremoniously dropped Kyrie in the middle of what seemed like a really big story on the eve of WrestleMania. And you literally pick right back up with it after WrestleMania. Io is on her own. She's in the Intercontinental
I was.
Championship scene.
This is the first time I can remember, and it's probably it's probably not, but them even like sort of addressing it on screen,
Did they?
like because during the pre-tape promo, Asuka said, I mean, she didn't say Kyrie, but she did
Right.
say, and now I'm on my own because I don't want another EO. So she seemingly said, like, she addressed, like, I dropped Kyrie because I see what you did to me and I didn't want that to happen again. But the fact that they even did that was surprising to me.
I didn't
But
catch that.
yeah,
I didn't catch that. I
I
mean,
did,
it's
and
something.
I was pretty surprised that they did. But I who knows what the situation is with these cuts are, and I don't think we'll ever know and figure it out unless someone Triple H eventually says Triple H would have to be the one to tell you who's deciding what, because I don't think anyone else knows. I don't think TKO is going to come out and say. But I mean, it
Yeah.
sucks. It's part of it's part of the process that we don't like every year. I mean, honestly, I'm like morbidly thankful that, for better or worse, at least for me, there's only one person that got cut that I'm even the slightest like
This
kind of
is
upset
true.
about.
This is
But
true. This is true because listen, I am not. Is some people may think this is mean and to each their own. I respect your thought process, but if you listen to this podcast, this should not come as a surprise to you. Skeener and I are not the biggest fans of the Wyatt Six. So when I heard that the entire stable was cut, I was not surprised in the slightest. Right? Part of me, however, looks at that and thinks to myself, the Wyatt Six got done better than Kyrie because at the least they got to close their story arc. You know what I'm saying? They got the lantern back and then they disappeared. Is it the best story? No, I'm not judging it on its veracity or the veracity of how good it is, but at least they got closure. At least their story got buttoned up. And, good luck on your future endeavors. But that spooky wooky stuff was just not going to land with this audience in this day and age. I just don't think it lands. I was not surprised when Aleister Black was cut because I think he fits in that same category as the Wyatts. And it
hey,
just,
he took Karrion Cross's gimmick up until the end, brother.
hey, look, I look, it ended the same way. It ended the
Good for
same
him.
way. But dude, you know what I wonder,
Living the gimmick. Living the gimmick.
straight up method acting.
Yeah.
Uh, I wonder, man, like sometimes I wonder how much WWE has influence wise on a talent's character. Like, I wonder if WWE is the one who is pitching an idea to a talent that a talent then works or plays as. Or is it something where the talent is bringing these ideas to, WWE? But it seems like this spooky wooky stuff never works. It never really lands for real. Like, you either have to be an extraordinary talent, like a Bray Wyatt, right? Or you have to be in a different era of professional wrestling because it does not seem to land in the modern era of professional wrestling. And I just can't quite understand why you would come into this version of WWE and this be the gimmick you choose to go with. I get it, why if it's something that you may want to do. I think the idea of the characters is an intriguing one. It's just a matter of how it translates onto the screen, right? Something that Stevie Richards said this week, which I thought was semi okay, was the fact that these types of characters, the Aleister Blacks, the Karrion Crosses, the Wyatt Six, these are characters that are really made more for a product that lends to a more cinematic presentation. And that if WWE was more like Lucha Underground, and he didn't say this, but I added this. If they were more like Lucha Underground, where their product was built around giving you a more theatrical presentation to the product that was then enhanced by the wrestling, you could have characters like this get over more readily. But WWE is not that product. It never has been that product. I would venture to say that The Undertaker, Kane, which are probably your two biggest examples of this working, are from a bygone era. They are from a bygone era whose character is bolstered by nostalgia, and that's why it landed and resonated as long as it did. You eventually saw both of those characters move away from some of the elements that were really spooky wooky about the characters, and it became more of a legacy act than anything. And you can sometimes pull that off if you're the person that's also the legacy that you're emulating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the Wyatt Six, they were never Bray Wyatt. They were never going to be Bray Wyatt. And the second thing I will give Stevie Richards credit for, guys can clip that because I'm giving credit twice in one episode, is WWE booked themselves into such an unfavorable corner when they brought the Wyatt Six into the fold. Right? There was no coming back from the murder scene. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no coming back from that. You
It
booked them.
feels like to me like they had that idea, which was a great visual and great debut, and then what were they gonna do after that?
You're already at the
They just,
mountaintop.
I mean, and I'm gonna be dead honest here. I don't think those people, those performers, did not have the chops or were not put in a favorable enough situation to succeed with this. Like, that's a heavy burden to carry that they were never gonna live up to.
I
The legacy of Bray Wyatt and that debut.
agreed. So I 77.7% agree with what you said. The other 33.3% I feel like is on WWE. I think that you book them way too strong with that debut. And listen, I don't think I've ever stated that sentence together with regards to a debut that did not include wrestling. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm sorry, what they portrayed in that debut was supposed to be viewed as worse than what Randy Orton did to Cody going into WrestleMania 42, and Cody still showed up. Cody showed up the next night after WrestleMania 42 with that freaking blueberry for an eye, right? He showed up. Matter of fact, they killed Chad Gable.
They did.
And then he came back and beat Bo Dallas afterwards. And it's like, that point, which was not mine, I'm giving credit where it's due. That moment right there was when WWE jumped the shark with the Wyatts. Now, you remember what they did with the Wyatts after they debuted Skeena? We talked a lot about it and we thought it was kind of cool.
I don't remember exactly, but again, I mean, I know what we keep going back to and what I always go back to is the only time this had a chance for me is when they did those for a couple weeks. They had the backstage vignettes,
That's what I'm talking about.
and it was each of them talking about and like kind of
Yes.
acknowledging, like, oh, I'm not actually this person. I
Yes.
realize I am a Bray Wyatt tribute act, essentially,
Yes.
and this is why. That's the
Yes.
only time it had a shot of working. And then it
Yes.
just stopped for some reason. And then it was purely a tribute act, essentially.
Yeah.
There was not much new ground being tread ever beyond that. There was nothing really that was their own at all. It was all what it was. I mean, it was all what it was. We were playing the hits, we were doing the Bray Wyatt stuff, and once that was what it was reduced to, I'm shocked it lasted as long as it did.
Yeah. Well,
And
and
either the act was gonna die and all these performers were gonna have to get a new direction, or what happened was gonna happen.
oh, dude, I'm with you 1000% there. And that's the point that I'm making, right? Is you can't start at a 10, right? With how you bring someone in like that and then ramp them down to a 2 with the momentum that they had when they were putting those videos out. Like, you deflate the audience too much. You set the expectation, the bar way too high, right? To then kind of backtrack it the way they did, even
Yeah,
though it was interesting. Had they started with the videos, the ones you're talking about, the ones I liked, the ones we both agreed that were the most interesting that they were, right? Had you started with that, instead of doing that debut, you start with these little vignettes where it just shows them backstage doing this video stuff, right? And then you bring them out and you present them in a similar way to how Bray presented himself before he started debuting The Fiend, right? Where he came out, he was talking to the crowd, he was himself, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like you build up to The Fiend making an in-ring debut, right? You set the expectations to where they're believable, they're acceptable, then you spike the audience just a little bit with something that seems kind of cool, right? And you don't overplay it. You don't overplay it. You're not going to get any mystery out of it because nobody believes that these people are supernatural, right? So you have to then build up the spectacle. The problem is they blew their load way too early. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? They blew their load way too early, and now they have nothing left that could ever top that. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's all you had. When all you have is the gimmick, right? It's like, you've got to balance it right. And it seems like that debut was the most effort WWE was willing to put into a tribute for Bray Wyatt. You know what I mean? And once that was done, they had contractual obligations. And you know what I mean? And once they contractual obligations were met, the Wyatt Six were no longer a thing, which kind of sucks because it drugged the MFTs into like a
yeah,
year-long feud against the Wyatts, which kind of simmered them down a little bit. Certainly Solo, because he seemed like he went from one like prolonged feud, right, with to another, because he went through that thing with Jacob forever and a day. And then he got off of Jacob, and then the MFTs went to the Wyatts for forever and a day. And now Solo is being utilized by Roman Reigns as a punchline against Jacob, where it's like Solo has no power. Solo can't do nothing without my approval. And it's like, I mean, what does that do for Solo? What does that do for the MFTs? Everything was just drugged down into this Wyatt Six lower than mid card vortex. And, you know, them being gone, hopefully that frees up the MFTs to possibly salvage some things outside of Tamatonga and Solo, possibly. Because honestly, I don't know what you do with the rest of them. Talatonga he's got size on his side. So they can utilize that as a draw. But for the rest of them, I don't know. I don't know. And as far as the rest of the releases, man, it's just a bunch of NXT folks. And look, and Zelina Vega, like that kind of sucks. I think it's just personally for me, I like Zelina Vega, but it sucks because, you know, she went out with her husband, Aleister Black, for those who don't know. And apparently, our friend, not friend, Sean Ross Sapp, apparently
oh yeah, yeah.
gave this away to everyone before she could make the announcement herself.
Mm.
You know, so, you know, kudos to jack bags like that. Like, you know, you can't give people the dignity to release their own statements on their release before you go blabbering it out to everyone because the need to be first exceeds the need to be decent to people. But, you know what you get from the dirt sheets. If you know, you know. And, you know, these people, Sean Ross Sapp, Dave Meltzer, all these folks. I mean, tact is not something that they're known for. So it is what it is. But I hope there's no more releases to come. Motor City Machine Guns. Listen, guys, I thought they were boring.
I just, yeah, it just never worked.
It never landed for me. It never landed for me. Alba Fire never got a freaking chance.
No, I thought she did great stuff with Chelsea, but again,
Yeah, she never got a she
I'm
just
not
never got
gonna
a
lose
chance.
sleep.
I
Yeah.
think she probably maybe she could have done something good. You know what I'm saying? But she never really got a chance. She got called up from NXT, went right into the Secret Service. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I mean, she was good with. I liked
Isla
her
Dawn.
tag team. Yeah, her name was escaping me. I actually liked there.
I
I
did
liked
too.
Fire and Dawn,
What happened to
but
Isla Dawn? Did she get injured?
cut her. I don't know. They cut her ass a while ago.
I can't. I didn't even
Yeah,
remember that.
she's gone. Yeah,
But that
so
makes
she was
sense.
gone, and they kept Alba, and then that's when Alba got into the Secret Service, and then.
Yeah.
But again, I get a lot of it is like it's call up time. We're making room if there's only so much time. So
True. True. I mean, and look, and why bring certain people back? Why bring Santos Escobar back? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
why bring him back if you're never going to use him? Now, I saw him on
It-
AAA a couple times, but he's gone from the company now. So
yeah,
whatever
and
he
I
was
don't
doing
know
over
how
there.
this stuff works. Like, could they sign him back, or AAA signs him back, or who knows? I guess we'll find out in the near future.
Yeah, that's actually a good question, Skeeter. Like, is the AAA roster, like, technically, are they part of the WWE roster, or do they have
Yeah,
their own department that does signings?
yeah. Who knows how it works? You
Yeah,
know, internally.
Apollo Crews. Why? I mean, that's not surprising.
I I was always shocked to learn he was still employed.
Yes, yes. It was
And he
more shocking
finally,
to me that he was still employed.
yeah. I mean, I knew because I like periodically wonder and check,
Yeah,
but I think he made it longer than even he could have dreamed.
agreed. Agreed. Last time I saw him, he was hanging out backstage with what's his face? Uh, he's not Zack Ryder anymore.
Cardona,
Cardona. Yeah.
you say that, and I still don't know if I believe it. You said that a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember it. So
What, him and Matt Cardona hanging out backstage? Oh, dude, that's all they were
again,
doing.
you say that, but I don't remember it.
Well, listen, that was his last. It was his last sighting on WWE programming, was hanging out backstage with Matt Cardona. I can't remember
Yeah.
what they were doing, but they were doing. They weren't wrestling. Which
I'm
listen,
just
I would.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Matt Cardona better be breathing a sigh of relief
Boy,
too.
hey, listen. You took part of the words out of my mouth, Skeeter, because I was about to say Matt Cardona, but I was about to say Matt Cardona better watch his back because
I think he's got at least a year, but
maybe that's this is true. This is true. I don't think
we'll
he
see.
will outlast his wife again.
No, he's not as good as his wife.
No, he's not.
So like, yeah,
He's not. Just stating obvious here.
yeah.
So SmackDown. So I'm going back through this list here for the results.
Why in the world was Randy Orton not on this show?
Good question.
Why did he punt Cody Rhodes and now he's out?
This
And
is a
now
very good
Randy's not
question.
there.
This is a very good question. So
And Cody gets to talk his shit.
yeah,
And no Randy.
I'm about to say
That's
that was just Cody in this segment, wasn't it?
yeah, that's what kind of annoyed me on SmackDown is I get Cody needs to talk his shit like he's the champ. We need him out there after, but no Randy Orton in any respect was a disappointment for sure.
I don't even
Like
think I
could
remember
we have not
Cody.
could we have not gotten a video package or anything? Like something from Randy.
I
A
would have loved a
pre-tape, but
reference. I would have loved a reference because, to my knowledge, I don't even think Cody directly referenced Randy.
he did not, I don't think.
No, I think he did the what's it? The hard to beat promo. I'm
Easy to
easy to
find,
find and hard
easy
to
to
beat.
find, hard to beat, and told the people meddling in his WrestleMania plans that they are now 0-3.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if they go into some other stuff that kind of gets into some backstage dealings and weave some things in, I'm sure that will be interesting. But I, like you, am genuinely sitting here scratching my head, wondering where any real follow up is with Cody and Randy, from WrestleMania 42. It genuinely, for a moment, it kind of felt like an afterthought.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I'm
I mean, we
saying?
did. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't on Randy's schedule, and having to pivot away from the Pat McAfee stuff like screwed something up. I don't know. I'm searching for reasons, but
Did you ever watch that video I sent you?
no, not yet. It's
S-
been.
So I'm not gonna
Oh, you're talking about the
TKO ruining WWE on purpose.
is that what the gist of it is? The Wrestle Fun video, is that what you're talking
Yes.
about? No, I have
Yes.
not yet.
So yeah, pretty much that's kind of what they're diving into in that video is TKO's holdings, what it is that WrestleMania 42 turned into. It dove into the CM Punk promo. It dove into some of Cody's promos. It dove into Pat McAfee's involvement, his connection to Ari Emanuel. It tied in Pat McAfee's movie that's coming out on Netflix and how all of these things are kind of connected in a way that derails a story that is so many years in the making, right? With so many well oiled moving parts that it begs the question of who is really calling the shots for WWE's programming when it comes down to big decisions like this. If this was not in the hands of creative to where like Pat McAfee is being involved in this story, what hope do we have for the future when it comes to big story developments reaching their natural conclusion on a regular basis and not have it be TKO's decision to make a particular type of change? I thought it was just really interesting how they laid some things out there and how they positioned CM Punk and CM Punk's usage with regards to his promo that he gave. When was this? This was before WrestleMania. It was the promo he did where he kind of came to the ring. He tossed the belt into the ring. It was
I think
kind of
that's
his.
2 weeks before Mania.
It was a real shoot promo that a shoot promo that he
Yeah, I think
gave.
that was 2 weeks before WrestleMania.
So they, in the video by WrestleFun, they harken back to the pipe bomb and they harken back to why that promo was such a point of resonance for WWE, the fans, and the product in general, right? And how the worked shoot was put into that program as a way for CM Punk as a character to connect with the people in a way that made him the voice of the voiceless, right? Where he spoke to a lot of things that the fans had been feeling and thinking for a long time, right? And how if you juxtapose that with this promo, if this was like the pipe bomb, something that was curated by Punk along with the approval of WWE to go out here and say, right? WWE are essentially using a character that is beloved by the fans as a pressure valve for the decisions that they make that the audience does not agree with. And they also position that if you look at that point that's being made that I just laid out there, right, with what the results are after the fact, it makes a whole lot more sense, right? Fans have their grievances. Their voices get really loud. Then you send a beloved face out there to release the pressure from the pipes. People feel heard. They feel like their voices are being spoken to, and then they tune right back in the following week, right? They pay for the tickets still. The decisions that could be made to really voice your opinion, make your opinions heard, don't really take the effect that they could, because you're always going to have a contingent of people who are going to show up regardless, right? But you also have some people who all they want to really have is their voices heard, right? They want to see the change and they would like to see change happen, right? But if you release the pressure just a little bit, you give just an inch, people will feel like the ball is moving. Let me stick around and see what happens next. Sticking around still means you're paying for tickets. It still means you're watching the product. It still means you're participating in the way that the company expects you to do so. And in this, the company has no impetus to change. All they do is continue to keep their ball rolling and understand that all they have to do is periodically release the pressure to give people a sense that they're being heard. And if you believe that, then you also then have to look at how they're utilizing some of your favorite superstars. Is CM Punk truly the voice of the voiceless? Are his opinions genuinely his own? And if they are, is WWE utilizing this with his knowledge to alleviate fan stress to keep the product moving forward? It was such an interesting think piece, and it was preceded by like 2 other videos that really broke down the Randy Orton character, Cody Rhodes' character as someone who is perpetually in need of finishing the story, as a hero who has to have a battle to win, right? And then you build this story up and then you follow it with this video. It is a really, really awesome 90 minutes. If you watch all 3 videos, it's really awesome. This is not a promo for WrestleFun, but if you guys want to get some interesting deep dive into story beats, lore of characters, particularly Randy Orton, watch these videos from WrestleFun. It is really awesome. But it speaks to what we were talking about though, right? Which is Cody comes out here and we barely get a mention of Randy. All of this story that's been building into this feud, and we barely get a mention of it. And last week, he's talking to Punk about championship opportunities. I tried to tie it in last week to maybe we do some kind of triple threat, and we could still get there. You know what I mean? We still have weeks before the next PLE, and SummerSlam isn't in until August. So we've got time. But
we didn't see CM Punk either this week,
we did
right?
not.
We haven't seen CM Punk since our last episode, so.
Nope. We didn't get any CM Punk either. But I mean, Skinner, do you have any thoughts on any of that I just laid out
Well,
there?
it's a little bit of it makes sense. I don't want to dismiss the possibility, but I myself cannot subscribe to such a pessimistic view because I cannot resign myself to the sadness of it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm going to choose to believe, maybe foolishly, that that is not the case, essentially, and that I'm hoping that, and we spoke about it. And I think when we first talked about ticket prices and Mania tickets not selling, I think, or at least I hope, TKO and some of the decision makers that we're referencing and are being referenced in promos realize they kind of fucked stuff up this year. And maybe it takes making that mistake to figure out, okay, this works better maybe when we don't meddle so much, because we saw what it was before and saw those dollar signs, and then we got a little too involved and we see the money and the attendance and all that went down, so maybe we don't need to do this. Maybe we
Now,
just let the people that know this figure it out.
now I will say this, and you know, I hate to be the person who takes a pin to a balloon, but WrestleFun also spoke about that. And apparently, if this is true, Las Vegas itself had a lot to do with why WWE reversed course on a couple of things that they were hell bent on doing, right? So, as we all remember, there was this blackout that was in Vegas where any venue that was within a certain mile radius of WrestleMania was not allowed to show WrestleMania at their venue, right? And the ticket pricing was what the ticket pricing was, right? So apparently, Las Vegas brought some claims up against WWE and that they had paid X amount of millions of dollars, right, in order to acquire the revenue that was going to come from an event like this, right? Which is essentially what you think about when cities bid on these big events, right? There's a bit of commerce that they expect to be able to accrue from bringing these types of things to their cities. And Las Vegas pushed back, and that's a part of the reason why that blackout went away.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You know, I am a fan of professional wrestling. I think WWE puts out, in my opinion, the product that gives me professional wrestling in a way that I enjoy the most. I am a professional wrestling fan first, a WWE fan not. I appreciate what WWE does, but I also recognize that WWE is a publicly traded company who has, fiduciary responsibilities. They are out here to maximize profit. They are out here to reduce overhead. And with TKO is essentially utilizing WWE to do what they could never do with the UFC, which is build money-making ventures off of outcomes that they can predict, right? When you build such a big franchise around someone like a Ronda Rousey, right? And then Ronda Rousey gets knocked out twice, right? And then the mystique is gone, right? Well, then what do you do with the product that you've built? It's the only failing that UFC has that TKO could not account for. But then when you bring on WWE, which is a combat adjacent entertainment form, right? Where the outcomes are scripted. Well, now you can do what you could not do with UFC. And you can take some of your products from UFC that may have fallen on some hard times, whether that is a loss, whether that is a lack of popularity, and you can funnel them into WWE and you can continue to make money off of this product. I can't tell you all what it is I do for a living. I cannot tell you where it is that I work for a living, okay? Because national security stuff, okay? But what I can tell you is when you're dealing with apparatus that are major corporations and major businesses, right? You can throw a lot of the aspects of decency, the aspects of consideration for the moral things that move us as individuals out the window. Because once you get high enough in that penthouse, they don't give a damn about any of that. I think that's what makes sometimes these cuts suck, because these people are just lines on a sheet. And so does it surprise me if I were to ever find out that TKO is only making major money moves, that the reason that they're doing these things is because they want to make money, that things get pulled back, not because they learned their lesson, but because it's not financially making them a profit to possibly get sued to the tune of millions and millions of dollars for making a decision because they were trying to make more money. And let's be perfectly clear, they were blacking out all those venues because they were trying to lock in the amount of money that they could make, because their ticket pricing, their aggressive strategy for those ticket pricing, they modeled after UFC, and it was not working because for all of Vince McMahon's failings, Vince McMahon priced the market for families. He wanted to make the product accessible to the everyday person. TKO don't care nothing about the everyday person. They're trying to make the most money that they possibly can. That aggressive pricing strategy made those ticket sales not move the way they wanted. And so they shut off all the venues that were going to possibly show WrestleMania that people were going to come in and pay to go to and not go to their show because they wanted to drive people to their own product. It makes business sense, but it did not work out the way they wanted it to, right? But I would be slow, in my opinion, to attribute that to their better angels and attribute it more to the fact that that spreadsheet was going to show a loss. You know what I mean? And it was going to show a loss.
Well, which is what I'm doing too.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they realize they made shitty decisions that cost them money.
Yeah.
So hopefully they won't make those same shitty decisions again.
Fair.
Because frankly, what will make them the most money is making the fans happy with the best product, and then therefore the most people buy tickets to go see the shows and the most people watch on TV. Like, so at the end of the day, those somewhat coincide. And like I've said,
Yeah.
I'm hoping they take and figure out what cost them money this year and what got them, got the paying customers revolting this year, they do not do again in the future.
I agree. I
think they found where the line was.
I think
And
I would
hopefully they don't
substitute.
cross it again.
I think I would substitute paying customers for amount of money, because I think if you substitute paying customers for amount of money, then I think you'll get a more accurate idea of what TKO's plans are moving forward. Because I agree with you, like we said a couple episodes ago, unless they are physically incapable of doing so, WrestleMania 43 will absolutely be in Saudi Arabia. And they will continue to go there because the amount of money that the Saudis are willing to pay them is astronomically bigger than any gate that they would get from any domestic venue in the United States. Hands down, period. Like, with a capital bold period. And so,
Remind me to run some numbers on that. Do we think that's true? I
I
wonder how
think,
much they're
well,
paying for
so
WrestleMania.
I
Well,
this is
the thing is the Saudi check is guaranteed. Any gate wouldn't necessarily be.
well, I mean, but that's
So
always the case. That's always the case anywhere that these events go, right? The gate is the gate, and the price that whoever the location paid in order to get the
I
event
think
there.
didn't we when we looked at her up a couple months ago, didn't we realize like the KSA and the PIF, they take the gate and they pay WWE a flat fee to bring it there?
Yes, of course. I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is the flat fee that they paid is probably way more than the flat fee that other locations are going to pay
Oh yeah, for sure.
domestically.
For
You know what I'm
sure,
saying?
because of that.
Right. And I think
But I'm not
that's
so sure they couldn't make a bigger gate if they did like everything right. It just sold out a huge venue 2 nights. I feel like it'd be possible for them to
you're
get
probably
something
right
close.
because I'm
That's all
utilizing
I'm
my
saying.
words incorrectly because I keep
I
saying gate.
will say I don't think we ever see any more crypto billionaires sitting at the commentary table. I think that was a one and done. I'll just
I
go ahead and say
would
that.
hmm, that's interesting because I wonder how many people are like us, right? Who saw that and
I
thought,
think the pushback they got on a lot of that stuff actually will matter to them.
did
I
they
mean,
get a lot of pushback about that crypto?
yeah,
I
they
mean, I'm
had
not online. You're online, so you
yeah,
know better than I do.
there was a lot of people that were like, "What is going on?" And they had Ariel Hawani shitting all over it. You know, not some not great press from outlets and sources that traditionally are very complimentary of the UFC and WWE products.
You reminded me of that, and I forgot about that. But boy, I remember seeing that and thinking to myself, WWE is willing to sell anything. Like they're willing to sell any part of the show if it makes some money. But because I've never in my life seen that.
Yeah, that was a new one.
I mean, shoot, at least give the dude a headset. I mean, he just got
Well,
to
he got a
sit.
headset. He got a headset. He
He
just
didn't
didn't
get
have
a
a
mic.
microphone. Yeah. They weren't gonna let him talk, which is good. I was worried when we saw it that he was gonna be on commentary, but thankfully
That's
they
what I
didn't go
thought
that
too.
far.
I thought he was going to be on commentary, but I didn't know who that was. I didn't know who
Well,
that was.
I didn't at the time. I figured out later that he was some crypto billionaire guy.
That's honestly the wildest thing. Thinking back on it, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. But yeah, I'll have to look into that too because I'm genuinely interested to see what if those numbers are posted. I would genuinely like to see how much Saudi Arabia paid as a flat rate.
The rumor is 250 million.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
I don't know if Vegas paid that much. I feel like
Oh,
the
Vegas
number that
definitely
I
didn't pay
heard.
that much.
Say what now?
I said Vegas definitely didn't pay that much, but
I
we'd have to figure out
The number that
the
I heard,
gate
if
and
it's correct on
WWE
that
World and
WrestleFund
everything
video,
else. Yeah.
if that WrestleFund video is correct, I believe the number I heard was 90. Right? The number I heard was 90 million. And that was part of the reason why Vegas pushed back hard when that blackout rolled out. But yeah, you said like what 250 million? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's freaking crazy talk. That's crazy talk. Listen, if you all are listening and you for some reason think that WWE is not going to take that check every single time, it's not because WWE is money hungry. It's because the company structure makes it so they have to incentivize that profit. If it is there for them to get, they have a responsibility fiduciarily to their shareholders to make that bag. And if that bag is there and that money ain't dirty, they have to prove why it was not a good financial decision to go get it if they don't do it. And so if the Saudi government is going to be offering $250 million guaranteed just to bring the product over to Saudi Arabia, and they're just going to keep the gate, Saudi, I mean, it's just going to keep the gate. That is a crazy deal that WWE cannot pass up. So, you know, I believe that the product itself is going to continue to do good things. I think that the stories are going to continue to be good because at the end of the day, the product is what is the selling point here. I think if the product sucked, you'd have a harder time getting $250 million checks. Because last time I checked, necromancy is not a thing, and you cannot give the Saudis the pay per view they really want. And so,
Yes.
unfortunately, we can't do that. Well, fortunately, we can't do that. That'd be horrifying. But we can't give them that.
I mean, it depends on how they'd come back.
I
Like
mean,
how
yeah, I mean, it depends on how
are
you
we
do it.
getting zombie versions or are we getting prime versions of these guys?
If you were able to figure out a way to bring back prime, pristine versions, right, of deceased superstars, I think, I don't know, dude. I wonder if that would be even more disturbing. I wonder if that would be more disturbing than seeing like zombified versions. Because at least my brain can wrap my head around the idea that, holy crap, they figured out how to bring people back from the dead. But on top of that, they look great. How's that a thing? What's the point of being dead? There's too many questions. Too many questions. Okay, so back to regular scheduled programming. So Tiffany Stratton is your new United States champion.
Yes.
I am slightly optimistic about this. I feel like Tiffany Stratton is a really great talent. I feel like she got a little bit exposed last year. I think she got a little bit exposed last year. Some of her weaknesses were kind of brought into the light, not because she particularly did anything wrong, but I think the booking of her feuds were just not really great, and she didn't really have a lot of competition. I think at this tier, she will be able to interact with a lot more people with a lot of varying different levels of personality. She'll be able to kind of get out here in front of people. She'll be able to do things, cut promos, and feud with people whose the outcome and the stakes are not going to be as high and the spotlight is not going to be as bright as being WWE Women's Champion. And so this can give her some time to develop and build and grow. And she is a big enough name to where whoever it is that she challenges and defeats her can definitely have some respect added to their name. But she beat Julia, and I don't know what happens with Julia now. I'm more interested to see what happens with Kiana James, because Kiana James really impressed me in the Elimination Chamber. And I've been waiting to see what WWE is going to do with her. And I think what we probably end up with, if the programming is any indication, we have a short feud between Julia and Kiana James. Maybe it blows off at Backlash, and then Kiana James goes her separate way, and they try to do something with her. And wherever Julia ends up is where Julia ends up.
Well,
but
Julia is still employed as of today, so
true.
I knew that. I thought we had to. We were watching that carefully after Friday's result. So yeah, I mean, look, I think Tiffany will be fine with this title. I'm not thinking she's going to make this title. I mean, it. We'll see where it goes. They really have not done much at all with this title. The only time it was even worth anything to me was the times where we're like, oh, look, it's nice Chelsea Green has a title. It's nice that Zelina has a title. Beyond that, it has never had much value at all to me. And they really need someone to make this title like Becky has for the women's Intercontinental title.
That's right.
And like our OTC told us, like, it's not the title that makes the performer, it's the performer that makes the title. And they desperately need someone to do that. And we'll see if Tiffany can do that.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've been saying that on the men's side with the U.S. Championship. Trick Williams is probably going to do really great things with this championship. But it's because it's Trick. You know what I mean? It's because it's Trick.
Exactly.
And that title will benefit from being around his waist. And so, the hope is that we get some elevation here. But I'll be honest with you, Chelsea Green is insanely interesting. I think she is a good professional wrestler. I think she is a great character. I think she's very magnetic. I think the fans are behind her. And I think WWE like her. It begs the question for me, and I hope this is the case. I genuinely hope this is the case. I'm hoping that 2026 will be a year that we see Chelsea Green move into a main event scene. I think that the woman is due. I think she did a great job being the inaugural United States champion. She's clearly, in my opinion, been the most interesting U.S. champion that we had.
Yeah, by far.
You know what I mean? She did really great work in AAA as the mixed tag team champ. And I think that aside from this injury that she's had, right, that's been the only low point for her in 2026. So I think when she gets cleared, she's not with Alba Fire anymore. Maybe WWE can position her to do something that is above the Women's United States Championship. Now,
do we think Piper stays with her if and when she comes back?
If it was me, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. I think if you're going
I'm
to
like
do
you,
something,
we do need Dewdrop back. Dewdrop.
I don't think we should ever bring Drop back. I don't think we ever bring that back. Listen, I don't know when she's coming back. Like she's got some kind of neck injury.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the neck is real finicky. You know what I'm saying? The neck is real finicky with regards to timetables and, you know, how severe the injury is. So, you know, I hope she gets well soon and she's able to do whatever it is that she wants to do, whether it's come back to the ring or not, you know, in full support always of the performers. But if it was me, I wouldn't put her back with Chelsea Green. Just for me, there is something in a fresh, clean presentation. And I think presenting Chelsea Green on her own in a main event scene, whether it is you keep her on SmackDown and she is in something that is orbiting Rhea Ripley, or you send her over to Raw, which is what I would do. Send her over to Raw and put her in something where she can go up against Liv. That's what I would do with Chelsea Green. Like, just really take a shot with her. Give her the Jey Uso treatment. You know what I mean? And it's like, give her a solid year and and strap the rocket to her and see where she can carry it. Because she's clearly somebody who connects with the fans and the fans love her, right? She's got a great look. She's great in the ring. You know, it's like, why would you not pull the trigger on her? You pulled the trigger on Stephanie Vaquer, which, you know, where she goes from this, I don't know, because she's been written off television for a little while at least.
Yeah, seems like, I mean, the dirt sheets were saying she had some sort of injury going into WrestleMania. I didn't look too far into it, but
I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing with her. But yeah, we desperately would need Chelsea Green back and active. I think so, at least.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. So let's talk the fatal influence of SmackDown.
Yes.
So we got our wish. JC Jane gets called up. She gets called up with her entire crew.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about that, but
I was too. And the crowd, I don't know if they just either they know who she is and didn't like her, or they did not, or they were just going to boo the person who was going up against newly crowned Rhea Ripley.
And well, they had them screw with Paige and Rhea. So if they wanted someone to get booed, that's what they needed to do.
Yeah, if you wanted to set someone squarely in the heel position, they nailed it, because boy, if those boos were not deafening, they were deafening. And honestly, I felt a little bad. I felt a little bad, because you remember months and months ago when we were talking about Charlotte, and I was telling you about how you can tell when someone doesn't particularly know sometimes how to handle the boos. I kind of felt that with JC. I think she handled it fine, but I don't know if she was used to getting booed that much, that loudly, by that many people.
Which time are you talking about? The tag match or the Rhea match?
So wait a minute. Hold on. So Fatal Influence, they didn't wrestle Rhea. They just had that segment with Rhea in the ring. And then they attacked the tag teams, right? They attacked did they wrestle, who did they wrestle? Charlotte and Alexa?
No. So Charlotte and Alexa were wrestling Paige and Nikki.
Right.
And earlier in the show.
Right.
And Fatal then JC comes out, and I think it was Paige she pulled from the apron, and then Laney and Fallon Henley came in and cleared the ring, and that's how Fatal Influence debuted. And then JC wrestled Rhea later in the night.
Oh, I forgot about that. And then it ended
Yeah,
in the
Rhea
disqualification.
came out for her promo, yeah, and Fatal Influence came out and interrupted, and then Nick Aldis came out and made the match, and then as Rhea was about to win, Fatal Influence came in
So yeah, what
and
I was
attacked.
talking about was because I forgot she wrestled Rhea in 1-on-1.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was talking about the promo battle between JC and Rhea prior to
I
their
gotcha.
1-on-1. Listen, she was getting Dom levels of booze.
Yeah, I mean, people love Rhea, so
Yes, yes they do, yes they do. But I will say this: if you're trying to get someone over as a heel, if you're trying to
mhm.
make the fans know, hey, these are the bad guys that we want you to boo, they did exactly that. You're not going to confuse Fatal Influence with being the good guys. However, I do believe this does set the stage for fans to do what fans always do, which is if you tell me that these are the bad guys and I'm supposed to boo for them, I'm eventually going to start cheering for them because that's just what we do. And you're going to make bigger stars out of Fatal Influence. And that's why it didn't bother me too much because they're new to the roster. They're getting these kind of boos. The reaction is super strong. And the fans are responding the way that the fans are supposed to respond in this situation. And so it's going to make for a good intermediary feud between Charlotte and Alexa, probably the tag champs, and what is it, Fallon Henley, and what's the other girl's name?
Laney Reed.
And Laney Reed. And then you'll get a 1-on-1 probably between Rhea and JC, which I wonder, like, are they going to go into a, like, she
Yeah,
lost
seemingly.
via DQ. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, if JC comes
I mean,
right up to the main
seemingly, yeah,
roster and goes into a
seemingly,
feud with Rhea,
yeah. It seems like Fatal Influence is going to be a big player all through the division. You said the tag, and then seemingly, it's going to
yeah,
be JC and Rhea.
I'm not mad at that at all. Like, this is what we asked for, right? An infusion into this division, right? A shot in the arm. And this is exactly that.
Bringing up, I think another stable helps because you've got another stable. Which I assume we're still considering Jade and B-Fab and Michin a stable.
I would think so.
So they've got competition there. They've got the tag team. They've got Rhea. It seems like they've done what we've asked, and the SmackDown women's scene throughout the card has gotten kind of a boost of energy into it.
I wonder if this is I wonder if this is it. Like, are we getting no? Blake Monroe was announced. Was that on SmackDown or was that on Raw?
Don't remember.
I would think that'd be on SmackDown. They got the extra hour to fill, and they're the ones who
Well,
really.
I did see a report that no, Blake Monroe's going to be on Raw, I
Okay.
believe,
Okay.
and then or may, I'm not sure. But then I also saw a dirt sheet report that SmackDown's going to go back to 2 hours, which fingers crossed,
That would
I
be
would
great.
enjoy. Yeah,
That would be great. SmackDown is becoming laborious in a lot
it
of ways.
is. That 3 hours is rough. It always has been.
Yeah, I wonder whose call that was. Was that USA's call or you know what
Who
I mean?
knows?
Who knows? I wonder if they're gonna stay on USA. That contract can't
I would think
have too
so.
many years left on it still, and I don't see why they wouldn't go to Netflix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
I
already
don't know.
showing on Netflix everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, I doubt WWE leaves TV entirely in the US, or at least leaves, traditional TV.
Mm.
I did see, didn't the CW just got the rights to the NXT PLEs?
Did they really?
Hmm.
So okay, so if someone wants to watch NXT PLEs, they're gonna have to now get the CW app.
In the US, I would think so, yes.
Well, listen, guys,
Now
NordVPN.
they may go up somewhere else. I don't know. I didn't look too much into it,
Yeah.
to be honest. So
So a couple things to touch on real quick on Raw.
yeah, was there anything else?
I mean not Raw,
Oh,
SmackDown.
one thing on
That's
Oh,
what I
yeah,
meant on
okay.
SmackDown.
Then I was gonna.
So what would you want to touch on? Go ahead.
Well,
Lead off.
I was gonna say, so we get we get a couple Danhausen segments.
Yes.
We got the pre-tape of him going to Miz's house, right?
Yes, we did.
He showed up at the Miz's house after he's already cursed his home, and yeah, I thought that was a good one. Then
Agreed.
we get another Danhausen match, which I am not necessarily opposed to, but I think we need to keep that sparing.
I agree.
Because there's only so many beats you can do in a Danhausen match if this is how he's being portrayed. Like, he gets beat up, he curses him, something happens, he wins via curse shenanigans.
Yes.
I think if we overplay that, we run the risk of, not that
Yep.
I'm not loving it, but there's only so many ways we can do. I think he needs to wrestle not a lot.
I agree.
I'm just hoping we don't go into too much Danhausen wrestling. But
I agree.
I have to think that, he's beaten Kit, he's beaten Miz. Maybe we get a tag match at Backlash and then we're good. We just don't need him wrestling every week.
Listen, I agree with you 100%. And being somebody who did not originate as a Danhausen fan before he kind of showed up here and started doing his thing, I think my take is that I don't find his wrestling as engaging as what he does backstage. And so I definitely feel like Danhausen is going to be a solid comedy act for WWE, as acts have been in the past, which is a valuable spot in my opinion. And I think that for this character in particular, I think you're right. I think it serves him way better if we see less of him in the ring. And because that sphere of wrestlers in the mid card is going to at times be full of people, and then at times it may not. It may be a little sparse. Keep his interaction with these people in the ring to a big payoff moment, right? Where Danhausen comes in the ring, he gets to do his Danhausen shenanigans, cursing people, weighing how many pounds he weighed. Miz couldn't even hold his weight, and I thought that was really fun. But yeah, like there's only but so much runway you've got with something like that before the gag is overblown and the jig is up and people
Right.
don't respond to it the same way. So yeah, I agree. Keep that sparing. The fact we've got him twice in 30 days, 40 days is I don't know, it's a little much. It's a little much. I think it should pull back just a little bit.
Yeah. Love the Danhausen mobile though. I
Yeah.
do like that addition to the gimmick.
Yeah. Did he not have that before?
No.
Interesting.
It debuted at Mania, and yeah.
Interesting. I don't know anything about Danhausen,
Yeah.
so that's I always thought that was part of his thing, but his little Danhausen casket mobile, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it too. So Trick Williams has his U.S. title celebration, spoiled by the gingerbread man, who is apparently
Yes.
a nesting doll for another gingerbread man, and it's Sami Zayn underneath the hood.
I'm trying to remember what Joe Tessitore said. Ah, I'm not gonna remember it. It ended with Sammy is something cinnamon. He, I'll try to find the quote. I know this is not great. A great description of it.
Look, Joe Test's timing is really good. Like when that man is
He's been
on,
so much better on WWE than I thought, and I've just been wary because sometimes the traditional sports people coming over to WWE don't fit as well,
yeah,
but he has been awesome.
Joe Test has been great, and
Mhm.
I have thoroughly enjoyed him. He is currently seated next to Wade Barrett.
Mhm.
They
Yep.
are a great combo.
Oh, okay. He said he's a man-sized batch of walking cinnamon. Is what he called Sammy,
Peak.
which is yeah.
That is peak. Joe Test, I think you just made the opening to the show. That's peak. I love that. Joe Test is great, dude. I
Hmm.
think he's
He
great in his
really is.
role. He's really great in his role. But yeah, so I guess we're obviously not done with Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. At some point, I'm assuming we're going to get Carmelo Hayes back in this mix because he's already kind of called the shot. And so, unless we have pivoted somehow away from Carmelo, I think we're going to get him introduced into this sometime soon. Likely not going into another one-on-one between Trick and Sammy, but we'll see. And now we get to the Jacob Fatu of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Who opened and closed SmackDown.
yes, he did, and proceeded to defeat Solo Sokoa, and then systematically run through the rest of MFT. Skeener, I am on the fence because I like Jacob, and I do believe that Jacob is uber talented, and I think they've got a star on their hands. What concerns me about what he's doing right now, or more specifically, what WWE is booking for Jacob, it seems like it's a lose lose. Like unless what they have planned for him post Roman is substantial in some kind of way, there's no way on God's green earth that Jacob is beating Roman for that title at Backlash. Like, am I smoking something funny?
No, I mean, I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is either. And so for me, it's kind of like, all right, this is a very interesting way to bring Jacob into the main event picture. The story is fine so far. It's got some strong bloodline ties to it. I think I think Jimmy and Jay are doing incredible work right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're doing really great work right now. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. It feels good to see Roman coming out to head of the table again.
Mm-hmm.
Like head of the table is just the jam for him. And when he came out this past week on Raw to head of the table, I was just, it felt good. It felt good. So I think that the story is going to be interesting enough, where we go with it. And Jacob is certainly not backing down from Roman whatsoever. What was that? A Tongan death grip
On Monday, yes.
On Monday that he hit him with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, it's going to be an interesting match at Backlash. It seems like we played a decent amount of our cards. What we add to it at this point, I don't know. But the idea that Jacob beats
consequences.
So
That's what's getting at.
And that's what was that stated that like if Jacob loses, the consequence is going to be that he acknowledges him.
I mean, that was just what Jay that was in the opening to Monday.
Yeah. Oh,
when they did the pre-tape.
Jay
said there's got to be consequences for disrespecting the tribal chief.
Now I wonder, are those consequences something that is going to be enacted, or is it going to be just a match? Like,
I think we'll have to see.
We will. We'll have to see. But I mean, your thoughts on this feud so far?
So I'm really enjoying it. I thought the opening to SmackDown was great, especially off what we got on Raw last week, which was essentially Roman saying, I want you to take a week and think about this because I don't think this is in your best interest. I mean, obviously, we all knew Jacob was not going to back down from the challenge, but seeing both the Usos and then Solo come out and try to sell, essentially give their pitch to Jacob, I really like that. And then Jacob just did what he does best, which is turn up the intensity. I mean, people are back into Jacob as much as they were before he got injured, and it unfortunately kind of cooled him down.
Yeah.
The catchphrases are over. The crowd's into it, so that's really great. Him running through the MFTs to close SmackDown. They couldn't even, get a one-up on him altogether. And then as we go into Raw and get, we get that good opening where essentially the Usos are reporting to the tribal chief about what they saw, what happened, and, Jay says there's got to be consequences, and that leads into the showdown at the end of Raw, which I also thought was just very well done. I mean, the most interesting part of the Raw segment, because we kind of knew what was going to happen. Reigns is going to say, "Did you make up your mind, Jacob?" And he's going to say, "Yeah, and I'm still challenging you." We got the good Roman promo, which we referenced about him, him making the World Heavyweight Championship. Now it's the title, which kind of is true. That I mean, it's around his waist. But Jacob comes out and says, you're in your main event bubble. I thought it was interesting that Jacob went back and goes, "Hey, it wasn't you that helped me and brought me in. It was Solo. So him still playing with, even though, he had a match with him and that stuff, it still has Jacob still seemingly having this loyalty to Solo, gives us a lot to play on in the future. I'm glad they haven't just dropped that. He's still, I love you, Solo. He's still got a little love for Solo, which I appreciate.
At least
But
he hasn't forgotten the history.
yeah, it's interesting. They give him the Tongan death grip, which is great, and that I like the way they played that. Roman's not going to give him this match because he's not going to tear the family apart. But Jacob attacks him, hits him with that death grip, and it pisses Roman off enough that he just goes, you know what, you got your match, which I
Yeah.
really really enjoyed and appreciated. So I'm digging it all so far. I really am.
Yeah, I find it interesting. And I
Well,
was
what on Raw? Like I don't. It's like seemingly Jacob Fatu would be the babyface here, but
you would think.
Roman is so over that people are just cheering him, and Jacob's actually getting booed on Raw because he's attacking Roman Reigns, which is interesting. And I like that babyface champion tribal chief is still kind of just the same tribal chief he always was.
Pretty
But now
much.
people, but now people just love it so much they're gonna cheer him, and
I mean,
I think that's cool.
look, that's Randy Orton in a
Hmm.
nutshell too. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, Randy's heel Randy, and you boo because he's doing these heel tactics. But like, shoot, at the end of the day, when he and Cody were trading blows, the boos were headed Cody's way. And Cody's clearly supposed to be the good guy. But, the fans choose who the fans choose, and they chose the tribal chief in this situation. And honestly, I saw somebody online talking about, is this a heel turn for Jacob? I don't think it's necessary.
No,
I don't think
no,
it's necessary to try and play heel here. Like, the tension is in the family drama. And you know what I'm saying? And not in the fact that Roman is the good guy and Jacob is the bad guy. Like, Jacob's got his reasons for wanting to be the champion. He don't care nothing about being the tribal chief, but he needs what the tribal chief gets, which is the money and the jets and the access. He needs all these things. And you've had enough corroboration from Jimmy and Jay with regards to understanding his motivations to not paint him into the heel corner. But not every feud needs to have clear-cut good guys and bad guys. It just needs to have a story that pits two people against each other with real stakes that matter to people. And that's what this feud has. It has stakes to it that matter to both parties involved. The story is written well, and I think the performers are going to deliver. What is interesting to me is what it is that you brought up just a second ago, which I hadn't really considered, which is Solo Sikoa's inclusion in this, right? Whether Jacob was praising Solo or whether he was telling the truth or telling his truth to Roman, right? However you slice that, the end result is what we were talking about earlier, or at least what I brought up. And I brought it up as a negative at the time when I was talking about how the Wyatt 6 low mid-card vortex pulled the MFTs down into oblivion. But Roman's comments about Solo were not flattering at all. And it kind of served to belittle Solo to being nothing more than a person who believes they have power, but in actuality, they have nothing. And I wonder what Solo thinks about that. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what Solo thinks about that, because on SmackDown, we had both the Usos and Solo and the MFTs offering their support to Jacob. And Jacob turned them both down and went his own way. But I wonder, does this bring Solo and MFT into this picture? Because Solo's not about to sit here and be disrespected by Roman. Solo believes he's done his own thing. He's built his own thing outside of the bloodline, right? And numerically speaking, they got the numbers over Roman, Jimmy, and Jay. And, they could try and lend their support to Jacob again. It opens up some doors here that I did not realize were on the precipice of being opened, and I like it. I like it. I didn't think about that, and I'm glad you brought that up because it makes me like this more.
Here's something random I was thinking that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with what's going on now.
Okay.
Is there ever a time or a possibility where we get like a fully united bloodline just trying to run everything? And then it's almost, I don't want to say it, but it's almost like WCW versus NWO levels of like everyone else versus this united bloodline that's just an unstoppable force.
All I can say to that is it will be hella interesting to see.
Yeah,
I
I
it
wonder if they could pull it off and it wouldn't be too similar or have the same trappings of the NWO stuff.
I think you could do it completely different than the NWO stuff. Just because you've already laid so many seeds that you could germinate to make this make sense over the course of some time, right? Time future tense wise because you need time to build the story out in a way that the fans can digest in the moment, but also you've got seeds that have been in the ground that you've already kind of laid out, right? You've already kind of laid out a couple years ago now. It's crazy to think that. But you've already kind of laid out the idea that
Mm.
Dwayne sits on the board,
Yep.
right? You've already laid out the fact that Roman is the chosen one, right? By The Rock. Then you lay this story out where Roman gets to show up when he wants. He gets to be booked when he wants, right? He gets sent on the TV shows even though he's not the champion, right? Roman's dropped these hints that like we this, we that, right? We made these decisions. We decided to bring you back. We brought you out here to sell t-shirts. You know what I mean? Where Roman is apparently calling shots for people who, in Jacob's case, didn't realize had shot callers above them, right? When Jacob first came out, when the bloodline was about to reunite, I thought for a second that Jacob may be joining them, right? But he didn't. The idea that Roman does to Jacob what Roman did to Jay could be interesting, right? That he beats Jacob into acknowledging him. Now, maybe it doesn't look exactly the same, but he's already laid out the terms of this match, right? With Jacob. Can you deal with what happens if you lose? Which is that you're going to have to acknowledge me, acknowledge him as the tribal chief. We already know what that means, particularly if you're Samoan, right? That means you're getting in line. You get in where you fit in. You get down or you lay down. And that would essentially mean that Jacob would fall in line if the storyline, if the history has anything to say about it, right? So that would mean you got Jimmy, Jay, Roman, and Jacob, right? That's 4 people right there. Now, Solo got something to say about it. Solo's got his MFTs, right? You have those 2 factions button heads, and then the bloodline pull the MFTs in. Listen, that's enough manpower right there.
Even before the final boss wants to show up to work.
Even before the final boss, if he decides to show up, right? That's enough to tie in what Cody's been talking about, right? Without going the Ari Emanuel route, right? You could take that a storyline wise, and instead of it being, the people that are behind the scenes that are pulling the strings, you're 0 for 3. Well, storyline wise, that could be The Rock. That could be, you know what I'm saying? The other royal family, right? That's not Cody's family that's been put in the
Well, it
forefront.
didn't. The first family, isn't that what Roman said at the
Yes, he
beginning
did.
of Raw? The first
Yes, he
family,
did. The
I
first
loved.
family. You know what I'm saying? And so it's possible. Will we see it? I don't
Yeah, who
know.
knows? But I think it's a fun idea to think about.
It's a super fun idea to think about. I never thought about it, but now you put it in my head and I'm not gonna be able to shake it. I'm gonna be seeing it everywhere now. I'm gonna be seeing it in everything. I won't be seeing it in some of these other things that have been laying out though in Raw though, because we got some interesting things to happen here. Um, I'm gonna skip over Seth and Braun because I'm gonna come back to that. But so Becky had a really saucy promo against Io.
Hmm.
This is gonna be good. This is gonna
Yeah,
be
I
this is gonna
did.
be
Yeah,
very
I
good.
I guess I didn't peg EO as her next challenger, but seemingly it is. But we also are not going away from Asuka versus EO
We are not.
because we got a video promo from Asuka, which I loved. I think she's always been good in those pre-tapes.
Yeah. I think we're going triple threat.
Would be
Triple threat.
interesting.
Maybe not right away, but I think that we're going to obviously get Io versus Becky Lynch at Backlash.
Do you think? She did beat her this week, granted, with Asuka's involvement, but
Oh, I forgot. Dude,
Becky's got to
was I
do
watching
something.
this? Was I watching this or was I
I mean,
secondhand watching this?
it was an incredible match between Becky and Io.
I may have to go
Because
back and watch it.
Becky did the whole thing where she's like, that's what led into the promo. She's like, I'm doing an open challenge, and then Io came out. And she's like,
Yes.
well, not an open challenge to yesterday's news, and no, I didn't want the Marty Jannetty of the tag
yes, I
team.
remember all of that.
Ooh, people online were legit mad
Were they
that
really?
it. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone's already worked up over releases, and then you have a heel say a heel thing to Io Sky, and yeah,
Oh
people
yeah.
will get worked
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Finger on a tender wound. Yeah.
Yep.
I get that. I get that. So, okay, so I'm looking. So, Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch defeats Io Sky. This was with Asuka interference.
Yes, towards the end.
Sky's getting back into the ring. Asuka arrives to attack Io from behind.
Mhm.
The referee's back. Okay. Then Becky takes advantage.
Yep, hit the manhandle and pinned her, and then Asuka came in and got Io in the Asuka lock. So I don't know if they're going to continue that with Becky's involvement, but we will see.
I would be surprised. I'd be surprised if we didn't. I would be surprised if we didn't. I mean, does Io just take that L and then move away from that challenge? Like I would venture to think that this becomes one of those Adam Pierce interjections where Io has a legitimate grievance. She's beefing with Asuka. Becky's running her mouth, and this turns into a triple threat for Backlash. I think it gives both of them something. It gives everybody something to do. It's a high-profile match with a lot of big names in it. It further serves to give a legitimate platform to the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which, in my opinion, is probably the best handled mid-card championship on the roster right now. Men's and women's. I think that they're just handling it spectacularly. Penta's not doing a bad job, but he's just wrestling matches that you know he's going to win.
Yeah, he's just wrestling matches.
There's
not a story beyond I have the title, someone else wants the title.
Exactly. You know,
which do any of the other mid card titles have a story beyond that right now? I mean, Trick and Sammy, but that's new. I mean, that's been the failing of the mid-card titles for a while, outside of Becky's involvement, is that it's been reduced solely to every single title is, I have the title, someone else wants the title.
Yes, agreed. And I think the
with
reason
nothing
why,
on top of it.
Right. And that's why I think that the Women's Intercontinental Championship is being handled the best. Not because I don't think that the Men's United States Championship is being handled much better now, but I think Becky just has the longevity. She has more time. There's more time invested in where that story currently is. And I think you could get there with the U.S. Championship if you keep it on Trick long enough and you build some really good stories around it, like you're doing with him and Sammy, right? So they just got more time in. But yeah, I could see them going triple threat. I could see them moving away from it if you're just trying to get to the Asuka Io aspect.
That's where I think things are headed, is they're going to finish that up first. Where does that leave Becky in the meantime? I don't know. I think we'll probably get another week of her disingenuous open challenge of sorts, but we'll see.
I mean, it's like, how many weeks we got till Backlash though? Backlash is approaching quickly.
Is it?
I don't think it's. I think it might be a couple weeks away.
Oh yeah, May 9th.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like that's approaching quickly.
Next Saturday.
So I don't think Becky's moving off into another anything before Backlash. I think you get this triple threat maybe between her, Asuka, and Io. It's a nice high profile match, right? Where Becky does not have to lose the championship. You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't have to lose the championship. And, you know, it's an easy way to protect both Io and Asuka, and either one of them taking a pin. And that furthers what's happening with Io and Asuka so you can move off into that singles feud, because I think that they would benefit from having a third person, right? That's the surrogate Rhea in this situation. Not necessarily in the sense that like she is to Io what Rhea was to Io, but you have another party for them to play off of. And then you can move into the Asuka Io feud after this. It frees up Becky, and then it opens the floor for the next challenger for Becky Lynch. But we're so close to Backlash that I feel like whatever they're laying out now are probably threads that they're going to try and pull for Backlash. Joe Hendry plays a concert.
Yes, he did.
And he campaigns for the firing of Logan Paul, which I disagree with. I think Logan's an asset to the company, and I think he's doing a great job with the remnants of the Vision. Even though we got Braun Breaker back, so I guess we're gonna get some development with the Vision, maybe.
It seems like right now Braun Breaker is kind of separate from Logan and Austin
Yeah.
Theory, which I'm not sure if they'll continue with that or what they go. But it is nice to see Joe Hendry is officially on Raw now,
Officially
as
on
he
Raw.
announced. And I think this and we got the Street Profits again.
We did.
Saving Joe Hendry, and they are, as we mentioned last week, both in great shape. So they both
Yes.
spent their time away well. Montez beefed up, Angelo slimmed down. So
It's a good look for
yeah,
both.
I think that could be that's going to be an interesting feud and a great match whenever it happens.
Yeah.
Logan in Theory against the Street Profits. That's going to be a really good, fun tag match.
Yes.
I'm still enjoying Logan and Austin Theory.
Me
I think
too.
it gives them both a really good platform. I think Theory's been good in his role. I'm glad to see him kind of back with, some sort of place after a long time of him being absent. The Waller stuff was okay, but it wasn't as good as this. I think this fits him way better.
He's in a way better position on the card. That's for damn sure.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? He's in a way better position, and he's got some gold around his waist, so that works in his favor as well. Will he ever be able to step out on his own and be viable in that particular space? It genuinely remains to be seen. Every time the man comes back, they stick him with somebody. And so, it begs the question, but, it'll answer itself in time. But no, I'm enjoying what it is that they're doing too. I'm interested in what it is that they're building with the Street Profits, right? And not just the Street Profits coming back and challenging Logan Paul and Austin Theory, right? And handling that tag team aspect of things, right? But they've come to the aid of Seth Rollins.
They did last week.
They did last week.
Well, I know where
Seth
you're going. And
approached them
this was
week.
a great backstage segment.
Yes, it was when I believe the Street Profits were back there with Joe Hendry, right? And they told Joe he needs to get a red shirt now because he's on Raw.
Yep.
Which is against his branding entirely.
Yeah.
But so then Seth interjects, and I guess he's going to tell them thank you. At least is what it seemed like.
Seemingly, yes.
And Montez cut him off and was like, there you go again, thinking this is about you. You ain't got no friends around here. And then they just leave. And
yeah, he's like, yeah, no, I think it was Dawkins. He's like, see, like, dude thinks, I think he said, like, dude think he got friends.
Something like that. Yeah. Do you think he got friends?
Yeah.
And it plays into what Breaker was saying in their promo early. So let's jump back in time to the start of the show. So Seth Rollins comes out. He absorbs the fans singing his song. And then he proceeds to call out Braun Breaker, who shows up looking like the badass that he is. And he comes out there with Paul Heyman. And if I'm not mistaken, Paul Heyman begins to cut a promo and then decides no, and he gives the mic over to Braun. And he tells Braun to do his thing. They proceed to have a promo battle with each other where Seth blames Braun for everything. For losing the Vision, for losing his title, for losing his match at WrestleMania. And all he ever wanted to do was give Braun Breaker everything because Braun Breaker is the future. Braun Breaker responds with, I never needed you for anything. I was readily on my way to being a main eventer before you ever interjected yourself. The only reason I even entertained this was because I wanted Paul Heyman.
Mhm.
And Seth's like, you wanted him. And what I end up taking from that, because I don't remember, where did it go after that?
Well, I don't know if it was before or after, but Rollins, he spent a lot of the first half of it really like putting over Braun and talking
Yes.
about how he's the next big star, and then he was like, you bet on yourself, but betting on yourself only got you Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and happy endings from Paul Heyman.
Yes, yes, yes.
And then I think after that is when he went into the thing like I was Braun said I was on my way to being a main event star anyways. Says told Seth his shoulder couldn't handle the weight of the title on it anymore. And then eventually, Seth lays out the challenge for the match.
Yes, yes. He also tells he also calls him Steiner
Yeah.
and tells him that he's not even the most over person in his own family. And
Right. Was this the week or was it last week where Braun told Seth that he was the best in the world at being number two?
that was this week.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
was this
Okay.
week. And then
And
that's when
that and
Seth
that's
said, you're
when
not
Seth
even number
fired back.
two in
Yeah.
your own
Okay.
family.
Yeah.
He asked Braun, did he come up with that promo all on his own, or did he call his
Yeah.
uncle for the hookup?
Yeah.
I I love the references. I love the references. That was a really good this was a really good promo battle between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
This match at Backlash is going to be very good. There's not a whole lot more to say about that outside of this though. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I did but back to what you were talking about, I thought one of the more interesting parts was the Seth and the Street Profits backstage and how at least they're gonna go with the angle that like I know you're a quote unquote babyface now, Seth, but like not everyone else is cool with you because you spent what 5 months plus running around here acting like an asshole
Oh
with the
yeah.
vision. It
Oh
just
yeah.
it just because you come back doesn't mean we forget about all that stuff. So I thought that was interesting, and we'll see
Indeed.
how they develop that part of this. But yeah,
Indeed.
the Rollins and Breaker promos were great. Braun Breaker continues to show why he is everything they touted him to be and the next big star. I expect him to get a win over Seth here through possibly nefarious means, and we'll see where they both go from here and whether or not this is the end of the road for that feud or whether we keep it going.
Yeah. I mean, it has the potential to keep going. Like the whole you don't have any friends here is really interesting, right? Because Seth's reign of terror has really been one that has spanned a decade, right? Whether it's division, whether it was the authority at one point, right?
Yeah.
Seth has either been solo or
What was his other stable? What did we call him? Do they have a name?
who we
COVID
talking
Rollins
who?
with COVID Seth Rollins with Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy and
Oh, I forgot about that. No, I don't remember. I don't know if they have a name?
I think the Authors of Pain were there too, right? When he was the Monday Night
Oh
Messiah.
yeah. I forgot all
Yeah.
about AOP.
So he had
And
that too.
yes, and Paul Ellering was with them.
Yeah. I don't
Okay,
think they ever called him anything. Maybe they called him like disciples or something.
something like that. But I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, they ran roughshod
Monday
over
Night
everyone then
Messiah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he has this history, right, of being in these
Yeah.
stables that just treat everyone like shit, and you know what I'm saying, and just run the
Yeah.
roster over. And so, yeah, it makes great through line sense that a group like the Street
Yeah.
Profits,
Yeah. He has no friends
you have
anymore.
no friends here, dude. Like, I don't know what you think this is, but nobody likes you here. And good callback, Skeeter. I'd forgotten all about that. But yes, that ties in so very well, and it's something really good to play off of. This idea that Seth doesn't have anybody in his corner besides his wife. You know what I mean? And the faction that you did have, they turned on you because they can find better opportunity without you being in the forefront. And it's something different for Rollins to do. It's actually a lot spicier than just Rollins wanting to get revenge
Mhm.
for being kicked out of his own group. That's really good. I like this more now. But that's the power of a good story. Like a good narrative, all you need is a decent narrative beats and you can make a good story great. And that just really works for me. Let's see. So, Obafemi is now doing an open challenge.
The only open challenge I want to see.
Agreed.
After he beats the brakes off Grayson Waller.
Yeah, I'm down
Who
for this.
shout out to Grayson Waller. He had a great line because it was right after the Joe Hendry concert, and he was complaining to Adam Pearce about the state of Raw and people getting opportunities. He did say it made me laugh when he said you got people in the ring singing songs, Taker's rolling over in his grave. I enjoyed that.
Now, listen, I agree with you 100%. I think that this open challenge is going to be interesting because I don't think you're going to get a bunch of bums that are coming into this open challenge. I think this open challenge is probably to set up something bigger. You know what I mean? Like this is just a gateway to bring in someone who is going to be framed as a decent challenge for Oba, even though Oba is not going to lose. But Oba is the new Brock. And I think he is probably going to be wearing gold sooner than we think. And I think this may be setting up to set him in a position to be in the upper atmosphere of championship titles in WWE, which I think is probably going to bring him up against Cody at some point.
Really? I don't think he's winning a championship until he beats Roman Reigns for the title.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is on Raw. He is on Raw.
I think it may be a bit, but we'll see.
We're a long way away from 43.
I think that is his destiny. I think they think enough of Obafemi that will be his to do is to dethrone Roman Reigns.
Well, I don't think Roman's going to be holding the title like he did last time. I don't think it's going to be another 4-year title run.
No.
For Roman, but he doesn't need it. He doesn't need to do that again. But listen, we are a long way away from 43. And, it could be a thing where, Oba challenges Roman at 43 and that be the deal. I thought that it was so. Switching gears, is Roxanne going to be leaving the Judgment Day?
They are seemingly playing that up.
Yeah.
She's inviting, or not inviting, but permitting the persona non grata into the clubhouse.
Yeah. And look, she already had this look of misgiving or something adverse after talking to Liv. Trouble, that's me. You know what? I'm not gonna. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because to see the turnaround for you from not being really on board with that to now it's on our soundboard.
I mean, it's actually incredible. I can't believe I didn't realize that at first. But yeah, it grew on me.
Fast too, real fast. But listen, it's a great interest theme for her. It's a great interest.
It fits, yes.
It fits her to a T. And I think Roxanne seemed like she had some misgivings about something to do with Liv after their little conversation in the clubhouse. Liv was talking with her about Finn and knowing that Finn had brought her into the Judgment Day, but Finn was a traitor. And, they played up this idea that they didn't really show on screen, but it's fine narrative-wise, that Roxanne has an affinity for Finn. She looks up to Finn, and that Finn brought her into the Judgment Day and that they are close. And that Liv knows this, but Finn was a traitor and he needed to be removed, and Finn has been removed. But Liv believes in Roxanne, and Liv believes that Roxanne can be a champion and that she wants to help her and Raquel win the tag team championships. So she's going to be out there in their corner, and Roxanne thanks her, but then says, "Can I have a minute? I'll be out there in a moment." Liv leaves, but Roxanne already has this look on her face that she's conflicted about how she feels about Finn's excommunication.
Mhm.
In comes Finn, whispering, telling her to be quiet. And then she immediately starts talking really loud about what are you doing in here?
Yeah.
Like, but I like what it is that they're doing here. I don't know how long Roxanne is for the Judgment Day, but listen, if the Laredo crowd was any indicator,
Well, I think about how sad Vince was that Roxanne got the big win in her hometown.
oh yeah, because that's not supposed. He's probably rolling over in his bed at that one because the people who you like should never win in their hometown. They should always take the L,
Get the heat.
get the heat. But no, she got a big win in front of
Mhm.
that hometown crowd, and they were hot for her.
Yeah, they really were.
They didn't want to see
Yeah.
anybody else but Roxanne. And shout out to Corey Graves for for stating that of course they would cheer for her. She's the only good thing that ever came out of Laredo.
Mhm.
And listen, Corey Graves is great too. But again, like normal, all things Judgment Day is good with me. Like they are very rarely doing wrong in anything
I
that they
can't
do.
believe this long in with this many, like, with a whole new stable at this point. It is still
Yeah.
as good as it is.
I mean, the roster is completely different.
Yeah.
The roster is completely different and it's still around. To think, I never would have guessed that when Edge created this, that the Judgment Day was going to be one of the longer running stables in current WWE programming. But how long
On
ago
both
was that?
2021, I think.
When did the
No,
bloodline form?
no. Yeah, 2021.
When did the
Blood
bloodline form?
late 2020, early 2021,
Okay.
because Roman came back in at SummerSlam 2020.
The bloodline, when did the bloodline split? Like when was there no more bloodline? Because I think the last
It's
iteration of
kind of
that bloodline,
post WrestleMania 40, I would say.
okay, post WrestleMania 4. Okay, wait.
But then it's like, how do you count Solo's bloodline? It's not exactly super clear.
Well, I mean, so I would, so we mean Solo's bloodline, like his version of the bloodline?
I mean, technically, Solo is currently the leader of the bloodline. I
No, he's
believe it.
not. He's the leader of MFT.
I believe it shares the history.
I
I believe it
would,
has the lineage,
I would, I
which
would,
which means it is currently going.
I would disagree with that.
Yeah.
I would disagree with that. Like there, it's a different name. It's a different name. The composition is completely different. And
Well, but that's what I mean. Then when do you say it ended?
I'm trying to remember when Roman. So Roman lost Jay after the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens situation, right? That's when Jay walked away from
Yes.
the bloodline. That left Paul, Roman, and Jimmy.
Well, but
Then Jimmy and Jay left.
but after 40, if we're getting to where Roman left, it's after 40. Like, it was just Roman leaving for a while, and then Solo started calling himself the tribal chief, and that's when he formed. That's when he had his bloodline, and then later in that year we had the two bloodlines facing off. I still think technically Solo is the head of the bloodline.
Wait, but
I
Solo
get what
didn't
you're
win.
saying.
But Solo didn't win that match, though. He didn't win that match against the original bloodline.
No, but it
So he
wasn't
didn't
for
get
the
the take. So
bloodline.
how could it
But
not
that's
be?
not how it works. Solo. But this is why it's hard. This is why I didn't want to even try to do this.
I mean, I'm saying, listen, you can't go by any type of fictional rules around the Ulafala, the tribal chief. You have to look at
And
it
what rules do
from.
you even want to go by?
I'm looking at it by the rules of the faction, right? The faction on paper.
But it never ended.
It absolutely ended.
When? It was
It
never
ended.
left with no. You either it's still going or it ended after WrestleMania 40. Those are the options essentially.
I think if you have no members,
But they
how
do
can
have
you call
members.
yourself a faction?
But they did. They had a member left, Solo, and then he added a bunch of people. That's when he brought in Tama and Tongaloa, and then JC, and then eventually Tala Tonga.
Okay. if I had to then say, I would say the second that they rebranded is when the faction ended. Because I agree with you. If Solo was still on Roman's side after 40,
He
right? And then
technically was, but the storyline was Roman got upset because Solo started calling himself the tribal chief when the tribal chief wasn't around.
well, but that's what I'm saying, right? So right, I would say then that after you had Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0, right? And the OG Bloodline beat
Yeah. I believe it was billed as the OG, like the OG bloodline against the bloodline.
right, that's where OTC came from. The original tribal chief, right? So I think after that feud, I think Jay and Jimmy kind of went their own way. Roman was gone. Solo and his crew rebranded as MFT. And that to me is the end of the bloodline. I think that's the end of the faction of the bloodline. So that ran through what? When was the bloodline versus bloodline?
Survivor Series of 2024.
Okay. So if the bloodline started in 2020 and then bloodline versus bloodline was in 2024, Judgment Day started in 2021.
But then the rebrand didn't occur until like middle of last year.
So
They were still
middle of 2025.
Was when they started saying MFT.
Okay, so you can say 4.5 years. You say 4.5 years from 2020. Well, yeah, 2020 to no, it'd be 5.5 years. So you say
No,
5.5.
no, it was like middle of 2021 when like the bloodline became a thing.
Okay,
With
so then
Jimmy.
it's 5 years.
This is less important than we're making it.
It is. I'm just so 5 years, right? This said roughly 5 years.
Yeah. Judgment Day was April of 2022.
Okay, and they are still going current.
Yeah.
And it's April of 2026.
It's been a long time for them,
They are
especially
the
to have completely changed members.
They're the second longest running faction in current WWE, behind what the Bloodline was in that 5-year span. It's just crazy to think, because I never would have thought that the Judgment Day would be holding that mantle. Because there were so many times they set up the Judgment Day to implode.
And now they're on both shows.
And now they're on both shows.
Truth and Damien
Oh,
are the Judgment Day on SmackDown. And
according to Truth. Truth.
How long has Alpha Academy been around? Probably not that long. But that's still technically a thing.
It is technically still, because Otis and Tozawa are still technically Alpha
Maxine
Academy.
is still technically part of them, I believe.
Is she though? She still has.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Alpha Academy is still a thing. Was established in 2020. So all this was for naught, because Alpha Academy
is the
longest running stable.
You know what? I was going to say, does a tag team count as a stable? But
Maxine's still there.
If Maxine is still okay, that's the last I'll say about it. If Maxine
there you go.
is still considered part of Alpha Academy, Alpha Academy holds the record right now as the longest running current faction.
If we're not counting New Day.
See, that's the thing. When it drops to a tag team, is it still a faction?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it just drops.
Ask Grayson Waller whether or not he thinks he's a member.
Well, I mean, listen. Would you consider Motor City Machine Guns a faction? Would you consider Fraction a faction?
Had a team. No, but you see, this is why it's tough.
Yeah, I would say that if you're a tag team, you're not a faction. So
it seems like the answer is Alpha Academy.
Yes, because Maxine is technically still a part of that.
There you go.
So, move over Bloodline. Step aside Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha Academy all the way.
They're all chasing the Alpha Academy.
Throw your A's up. Throw your A's up. Is anybody doing it? No, just me? Okay. Alpha Academy.
Chad Gable made 2 stables that are still going on and isn't a part of any of them. Either of them.
Alpha Academy and
American Made, the Creeds and Ivy Nile.
Oh, they are still employed.
Mm-hmm.
They are still employed. I'm surprised their names were not on that roster cut. They've done nothing with the Creeds.
No.
Nothing.
Do we think Chad? I mean, how much longer is Chad Gable for it after he loses his mask?
So I don't think.
Chad I like Chad Gable.
I don't.
You don't think he's gonna? I think. Go ahead.
I think Ludwig is going to lose the mask because I think he's going to lose the mask because
and
he's going to get
get a
his
big
own
push.
persona. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I
I
could see
think
that.
Yep. I think he's going to lose the mask, and I think he's going to get a new mask. And I think that he's going to be El Grande Mexicano. And
Yeah, I could see him because I mean, you've talked about how popular he is. He could probably be a big baby face with a new persona.
oh yeah, because
With
he's huge there.
how much they like him already and how well
Yes.
he can speak the language.
Yes.
It's yeah.
Yes. I
It's
think he's going to
it's
lose that match
you're
and
right.
he's going to be
That's probably
rebranded.
that's a much safer strategy.
Oh,
And just keep
absolutely.
Americano as the hated heel down there.
Yes, yes, and then be the opposite in the states
Yeah.
because they still cheer for Gable as Americano here. So
Yeah.
and I guess we end the show, our show, and this show on Raw with Jacob and Roman in the ring. And as we stated before, Jacob didn't need a week to
No.
think anything over, and it ends with a tongue and death grip. How Jacob busted his lip, I have no idea.
Yeah,
But that thing,
I was thinking the same thing. He must have just
yeah, he must have
got a
got
hit.
tagged by accident.
Well, maybe like when he went in for the grip, like he hit Roman's head or something. But
Maybe it's
it's
possible.
interesting. He has not done the Tongan death grip
No,
before,
that's new
right?
for him. That's new for him. That's new
Do
for
we
him.
think maybe one of the Tongans taught it to him?
Maybe listen.
We could play on that.
I like evolution. I like the evolution. You know what I'm saying? Like add new things to your repertoire. And you listen. That's where you keep your whole persona nice and fresh. Is add something that does not require you to jump off that top rope. You know what I'm saying? Like he can do it. He can do it well. But if you can add a different finish so that you're not putting your body in that type of position week in and week out to win matches, yeah, more power to you. And the Tongan Death Grip is a legendary hold that
I
no
mean,
one is
that's
using.
yeah, and it's got. I feel like they gotta talk about that, right, on SmackDown, because that's. I mean, Haku is the father of Tonga, Tama, and Tala Tonga.
Oh yeah. Oh, he is. I did not know that.
I believe they may all be adopted, but that is their father.
Okay. Okay.
Or
Yeah. Look.
yeah, I'm not sure. Well, no, maybe I don't know. I don't know. All I know is they're all brothers. Or multiple of them may be adopted. Not that it matters in
Yeah.
this, but he's using the famous hold of the father of a lot of those MFTs. So
Yeah.
to not address that seems like it would be a miss.
I would love for someone to bring that up with the expressed intent on trying to sway Jacob to side with them or to utilize
Yeah.
them as, you know what I'm saying, as his help. Because he's already kind of aligned, he's
Yeah.
already clearly aligned himself against Roman, which is
Yeah.
means he's aligned himself against Jay and Jimmy, right?
And
So yeah,
it's not an accident, I think, that he brought up Solo again on Monday. Where he's like, "Hey, it wasn't you that brought me in when I was down. It was Solo."
yeah, yeah. Listen, your theory could be right, Skeeter. This could be leading into something that brings these two factions of the Samoan family back head to head.
I'm not predicting it. I just think it would be cool if like I don't know, maybe if one day we do get Rock versus Roman and then the fallout after is like, what if we just united the family and just took over everything?
Yeah, listen. I would love to see it. I genuinely think that the Rock versus Roman ship has sailed, but
Nah.
I don't think Rock's putting that weight back on. I don't think
Maybe
he's putting
not.
that weight
Maybe
back
not.
on. And I think that that's probably, and honestly, if I'm being real, if I was a professional wrestler, there'd be two ways I'd want to go out. And neither one of those would be on my shield, right? Either I go out the way that an AJ Styles goes out, or I go out the way that a Rock would go out. If he's done, right? If Rock is done, I would rather step away silently and have the last.
Show up in one of the most infamous angles of all time and just never heard from again.
Now wait a minute, hold on,
With
because
Travis Scott and John Cena, and then he's just out.
so yeah, I
That's
guess
the last time we saw him.
that did happen after 42. I mean, after 40.
Yeah.
I would rather have my last appearance in the ring be at the best
yeah. 40 would
WrestleMania.
have been cool.
You know what I'm saying? And just kind of like let that be it. But yeah, I mean, listen, if the reports are true, which it doesn't seem like there's any reason for it not to be, it makes total sense. But like he had some sort of potential heart condition that his doctor told him, his diet, his size was putting a lot of strain on his heart. And The Rock was like, okay, nope, that's it. And he dropped the weight, and that's it. And we haven't heard from The Rock since. We haven't seen The Rock since. And it makes sense for his abrupt departure from, from that storyline to just go do whatever it is they did with Travis Scott because The Rock is out. And, I don't know if we're going to get that match, but I would love, even if we never got all of the Samoan dynasty coalescing into one major mega faction, NWO style, I would love to see another butting of the heads of the families, right? Where Solo doesn't take kindly to what Roman said. And, he and his MFTs back Jacob, even if Jacob doesn't want it, right? And the reasoning being is that I love you, Jacob. I brought you into this. Roman doesn't care anything about you. He don't care anything about anybody except himself, right? And then Jacob maybe reluctantly takes the help and then falls in with Solo and his crew again. And that pits Roman and Jay and Jimmy and maybe a dissenting Tama Tonga who has been butting heads with Solo, right? And then that evens up the sides. You know what I'm saying? That evens up the sides. And then you have Samoans versus Samoans again, because that is apparently WWE's cash cow as of right now. So you do that, you're going to make money. Hand over fist, easy. But I would love to see it. You put so many thoughts in my head tonight, Skeeter. I appreciate that. I'll be thinking about this for a week. But I think that about wraps us up, man.
It is.
Skeeter, your takeaway from this week in wrestling, anything inside the ring, outside the ring, the floor is yours.
I'm gonna leave you with a hot take, and I'm not going to elaborate on it. And if
Okay.
anyone has issue with it, drop us a DM, send us an email, tell me how wrong I am.
Okay.
Most underrated, underappreciated performer in WWE history, Solo Sikoa.
That's interesting. In history?
In history.
Definitely in the modern day, for sure. In the history. I have to think about that. I have to think about that. For me, okay, let me just be honest. I think for me, the takeaway is WWE as a product is good. Do not allow yourself to be lulled to sleep with regards to what it is that we are all consuming. This is a company that is going to make company decisions that is right for the company, not decisions that are right for you or me or us fans of this product. They are going to do what is quote unquote best for business. It used to be a part of a storyline, but it is actually the reality. It is the behind the scenes. It is the uncut, unseen, uncensored part of wrestling that is always going to be there and is going to continue to grow larger as this company grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I would expect to see more situations like what was surrounding WrestleMania 42. I would expect to see more situations that resemble Cody versus Roman that gets usurped by The Rock, and then course changing and course correcting because it wasn't the decision that everybody wanted to have, and then inserting Travis Scott into this situation, and then inserting Pat McAfee into matches that nobody really wants, and going for big money deals that don't make people happy, and pulling WrestleMania from one place to another because there's more money to be made where they want to go. This is a different product. This is a different company. Enjoy wrestling for what wrestling is. That's what I show up for, is the stories, the matches, but do not be fooled. Stay woke. Don't fall asleep, because these companies like this are no different from any other. They don't care about what you think. They care about what them dollars bring, and that's more revenue for their shareholders. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. But wrestling is fun. It is, in Simon Miller's words, it is the most important of the least important things. So, enjoy it, recognize what it is, and enjoy it anyway. Skeeter, please let everyone know where they can tune in each and every week to season 2 of this amazing podcast called the Lariat Lounge.
Season 2 of the Lariat Lounge is coming at you once a week, every week. Find us on YouTube. Search the Lariat Lounge. That's where you'll find us. The video, the audio, both versions of the podcast go up every week. You'll find all the old episodes, all the old live streams, and that's where you'll catch any other content we do and where all the new live streams will be hosted. If you still prefer the audio format of the podcast, we're on all your favorite platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you get your shows. That's where you'll find the Lariat Lounge too. Go get your merch over at prowrestlingtees.com/the Lariat Lounge. 6 great designs up there. The support really helps out if you want to check out those designs and order yourself a shirt. Give us a follow over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast. DMs are always open. Check out the stories, interact with us, and communicate with us on there. And as always, anything you feel about the show, professional wrestling as a whole, or really anything else at this point, just get it in the inbox at the lariatlounge@gmail.com. We'll read that email on air. Whatever you want to talk about, let us know. We'll talk about it.
We are game. We are down for whatever. We are that type of person. So let us know. Give us what you got, and we will definitely talk about it on air. And listen, I've been cooking up at least one new design for a t-shirt. So I'm working on some ideas right now. I'll be finalizing some things in the next week or so. So keep a lookout on prowrestlingtees.com within the next month. There should be a new design up there. I think it's going to be really sweet. So, get your purchasing power ready because it's going to be fun. From your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens, this has been another edition of the Lariat Lounge. Please watch yourself on the way out.